There are many candidates for the most influential year in gaming. 1985 introduced Mario and home console gaming as we know it. 2001 had the first Halo game, revolutionizing the first-person shooter and practically carrying the original Xbox. 1998, not only the year when Pokemon reached the West and exploded, but also saw the releases of Half-Life 1 and StarCraft 1, two genre-defining games. However, while those years are important, I believe that the most influential year to the gaming landscape as we see it today, with all its trends and popular styles, both in AAA and indie, is 2011. I will explain why that is the case through the example of 4 massive games released during this year. One cannot talk about games released in 2011 without mentioning its Game of the Year, the open-world action-adventure role-playing game, Skyrim. The 5th game in the Elder Scrolls series developed by Bethesda Game Studios, Skyrim arrived on the RPG scene with a bang. People loved it, critics raved, and by 2023 it sold over 60 million copies. Its instant widespread popularity among the gaming audience created something of a Skyrim craze. That trend remains to this day, as the game experiences countless re-releases and maintains a very healthy player count on Steam. Naturally, this has resulted in Skyrim having a considerable influence on modern gaming. Skyrim's popularity was achieved by several things: good visuals, excellent marketing, and being released at a time when fantasy media was in high demand. However, I would say the biggest factor was Skyrim's streamlining of many of the more complicated and intensive RPG mechanics that were a staple of the genre in games before Skyrim. In making this change, Skyrim opened the RPG genre, or at least a form of it, to the gaming audience that was either uninterested in or intimidated by the RPGs of old. That is not to say that these older RPGs were not popular in their own right, they were, but it was within their own niche. Skyrim, by contrast, was popular across a wide audience, and it is here where Skyrim's influence lies. It was many people's first RPG, and what every subsequent RPG will be compared to. Because of this, I think we tend to forget just how influential Skyrim has become. It became a standard, and thus its influence can often be waved off as just something RPGs do, when in fact it is less RPG and more Skyrim. And there's a lot of influence. Any first-person RPG post-2011 is more likely to have been influenced by Skyrim and its meteoric success than not. This influence has not been all well received, however. Many fans of older-style RPGs resent this shift towards widespread appeal and the profit it brings. They prefer the more complicated game systems, the breadth of narrative choices, and sophisticated writing that was rife in these older-style RPGs. I mean, I get it. I love those older RPGs too. But without Skyrim bringing so many people into the RPG genre, without Skyrim acting as a newcomer's first taste for RPGs, then I doubt games like Baldur's Gate 3 would have seen the astronomical success that it did. Skyrim, and by extension 2011, laid the groundwork for the RPG landscape we see today. And as a fan of RPGs, we've been eating pretty good lately, so I have to thank Skyrim for that. Another now legendary RPG that was released in 2011 is From Software's Dark Souls. An action RPG by genre, Dark Souls was met with great acclaim by critics and fans alike, who loved its old-school difficulty and tantalizingly obscure narrative. In the years preceding 2011, the trend in gaming was to make games easier for the player to complete. The idea was that the more players who could beat the game, the more accessible it was, and the more accessible the game was, the more people would buy it. By not following this trend, Dark Souls stood out from its competition and, ironically, gained a larger audience among those frustrated with gaming at the time. Coupled with a particular form of third-person combat, unique online play, and level design that featured more overlapping loops than the Olympic flag, Dark Souls created an iconic style for 2011. That style is what remains most influential about Dark Souls today. You see, just like how Skyrim was influential enough to become some sort of measuring stick for games like it, so too has Dark Souls. Even more so, I'd say, on the simple fact that an entire subgenre has been created on how Souls-like a game is trying to be. Of course, Dark Souls is not the first to invent many of its features. It took influence from many other games. But Dark Souls is what popularized it, and so the subgenre bears its name. It is through the Souls-like subgenre that Dark Souls exerts its most influence today. From AAA to indie, it seems every manner of game in the wide world of modern gaming has taken some cues from Dark Souls. It's been a successful tactic as well. Look no further than Elden Ring, its crazy high sales, and the awards it received. 2011 saw the release of many great games, but Dark Souls remains one of its greatest creative monoliths. Its influence on games today cannot be overstated, and neither can the 2011 gaming landscape which created it. No other game released this year has had such a disproportionate stylistic and creative impact on modern gaming as Dark Souls. Well, except for maybe one game. Minecraft needs no introduction. Its presence in modern gaming, and indeed modern society, is less like a game and more akin to a cultural phenomenon. It has been released on every gaming device known to man, used as an educational tool in classrooms, and is inescapable on all social media platforms. It's grown so much that Minecraft is no longer a game, but a brand, like Coca-Cola or TD Insurance. There are only 3 constants in life today: death, taxes, and Minecraft. While technically the first Minecraft alpha was released in 2009, its full release was in 2011 and marked the start of its rise into gaming hegemony. Alongside that hegemony was the preeminence of the block game. The blocky aesthetic that Minecraft is known for has existed for a long time, but after Minecraft, the style exploded as many Minecraft clones, as they were often called, entered the market looking to capitalize on that popularity. Not only did these games take Minecraft's blocky aesthetic, but also its survival, crafting, and building gameplay. People loved building brown bricks in Minecraft, and the gaming landscape took notice. The result, today's abundance of survival and building games, which while seemingly far removed from that Swedish indie game, still retains a link deep down. The influence of Minecraft on modern games is substantial, but the greatest impact is in regards to modern gaming as a whole and the media culture that surrounds it. The popularity of gaming content on YouTube began around the same time that Minecraft did, so the two have always been linked. If there was a gaming YouTuber who existed between the years of 2011 to 2015, they made a Minecraft video, sometimes many, or even dedicated their entire channel to it. The fact that this statement could just as easily be referencing the YouTube landscape right now is a testament to Minecraft's lasting influence. 2011 was an instrumental year in the development of gaming culture. The release of Minecraft had a tremendous influence on the creative sphere online. Without it, the gaming content we all watch, like the video you are watching right now, would not be the same. While Minecraft seems to be the be-all and end-all of 2011 influence, there is still one more game of note to mention. Another landmark release of 2011 was the first-person shooter Battlefield 3, developed by DICE. No, not that kind of DICE. Technically the 12th game in the Battlefield series, Battlefield 3 was well known for its combined arms multiplayer battles that featured such iconic maps as Noshar Canals, Caspian Border, and the ever-memorable Operation Metro. Of course, another idiosyncrasy that Battlefield 3 is well known for is its ample use of the blue filter in its visual design.
I'm really sorry, okay?
What is wrong with you? Why are you blue?
Ugh.
Now, when compared to the other games released in 2011, the influence of Battlefield 3 on modern gaming is not as clear. There is not a direct link between Battlefield 3 and the trends we see today, or at least one that is acknowledged by the public. However, trust me when I say that Battlefield 3 holds more sway today than one might think. 2011 marked the height of Battlefield and games like it within the gaming landscape. Battlefield and its eternal rival Call of Duty were fighting for the top of the FPS ladder, and their presence in gaming was inescapable. This would remain the case for the following years, but trends changed and the multiplayer shooter crown was passed onto other heads. First, it was hero shooters, then battle royales, and as of today, hero shooters again. Today, Battlefield is not what it used to be. The games are still played, yes, but its popularity is nothing like it once was. Yet, its influence remains, especially in the creation of the tactical shooter subgenre. This development is thanks in part to the immense presence of Battlefield 3 in 2011. While not as intensive or realistic as some of its contemporaries, Battlefield 3's popularity and large-scale battles introduced a very large audience to a different style of gameplay, where every player had a role, had to work together, and achieve objectives beyond the traditional team deathmatch. A good portion of that audience would continue to pursue that aspect of the game and become the tactical shooter audience of games today, such as Insurgency, Squad, and Escape from Tarkov. To say that Battlefield was a realistic tactical shooter is a stretch. It's more of a sandbox with toy vehicles, except instead of playing with a dump truck, you get an M1 Abrams. But I think to deny its influence on the genre and gaming as a whole is short-sighted. Battlefield 3 was more than just the blue-tinted shooter. It produced some of the most exhilarating gaming moments of a generation that are looked back on fondly. Such love for the game generated a plethora of fan-made content posted to the increasingly prominent website called YouTube. It is the cascading series of events spawned by just one game that can create an influencing force greater than the sum of its parts. Battlefield 3 created a multiplayer experience that defined 2011 and was designed for 2011. Therefore, through Battlefield 3 and the people who played it back then, the multiplayer shooter environment of 2011 continues to influence modern gaming to this day. 2011 was gaming's most influential year. In just 1 year, so many iconic and epoch-defining games were released and their influence was instantly felt. Skyrim changed RPGs forever. Dark Souls created its own genre. Minecraft facilitated the emergence of gaming content on social media, and Battlefield 3 was a landmark release for first-person shooters. Such was their influence that the modern gaming landscape we see today is inextricably linked to those video games released 14 years ago. That is why I still think of those 2011 games to this day, and they remain some of the best of all time. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.